while Biden is doing closed-door, invite-only meetings in Michigan, Bernie Sanders is also in Detroit, meeting with public health experts and registered nurses. So one particular registered nurse, Deborah Berger, forcefully shot down a question on how the United States can afford to make any beer-demic vaccine free for everyone in the country, noting that no one asks that question of other vaccine or America's endless wars. Have a look at what she had to say.
I was growing up, we got the polio vaccine for free and nobody asked how you pay for it because what they saw were children in iron lungs that were going to be damaged forever. How insane and cruel is it to suggest that we have to figure out how to pay for it when we can actually go to war and not ask one question, but to prevent this kind of a disease, we have to say, how can we pay for it? I'm sorry.
The cost of not paying for the vaccine is going to be orders of magnitude much more expensive.
She's right. It would be much, much more expensive to allow the vaccine to allow the virus to take its course and then have to try and figure out what the medical response would be rather than try to develop and institute a vaccine that's for everyone, because vaccines are about herd mentality, herd health, right? Group health. And it's an excellent, excellent point. When people were seeing children in iron lungs, people ending up in wheelchairs for the rest of their life because of polio, that vaccine was free. And you know what? We never have the conversation about how we're going to pay for war. When Trump asked for an additional $6 billion in spending, Democrats gave him an additional $8 billion, even though they made the case the entire time that, he's crazy and he's got his finger on the nuclear button. There's always money for war. There's never any conversation about what it will cost. But hey, public health and safety in a global health crisis, how can we possibly afford to do anything proactive about this? Yeah. And that's what Bernie Sanders is up to in Michigan on the eve of their vote, which happens today. That seems like the kind of fighting that I like to see out of Bernie Sanders. That seems like laying the groundwork for saying, look, I'm doing it. When Joe Biden is busy saying, you know what, nothing will fundamentally change, and maybe I'll veto Medicare for all, and I'm not going to do anything about this epidemic. Yep, okay, everyone. We get to see that in real time playing out. Mm-hmm. That should enter into your political calculus about who deserves your vote in this primary.
So on that note, look at right now. The stock market's crashing. That's a thing. What caused that? I'm sure it was unrelated to the thing. So again, the stock market loses trillions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, and that's a bad thing. Oh no, everyone's freaking out, but the thing that caused it is beer-demic. And, we can't, we can't do the thing that helps the stock market because really what it is, are you helping the rich? So we have plenty of money for that. We have unlimited money to help the rich. If you're a regular person, just screw off. We don't need you at all. So they're making that point. That's a point that I really wish that they would come at with a retort. And the answer is, how are you going to pay for Medicare for all? How are you going to pay for the current system? It's cheaper than the current system. We're saving money. Shut up. Go away. They're not as aggressive. They keep asking, the news keeps asking the same questions over and over again. Why doesn't Sanders at some point go, you've literally asked me this question 5 times, and the 5 times I've interviewed you, do something else, prove you're a real journalist.
They've asked that question 21 times in 10
21
debates.
times. How are you going to pay for it? How are you going to pay for it? Well, here's the thing.
But just finish on this.
Go ahead.
That this is the cost of the way that we organize our countries. It is all about, and I was listening to a very interesting podcast, and I was actually talking about this in my class right before I came here, and it was like people are like, oh my God, no one sees the reality. Either regular people on the ground, when I'm like, hey, 500,000 people are probably going to die in the last 6 months. That's crazy. What do you think? Are you feeling okay today? It's like no. It's just we've been saying if you understand how these systems are organized, you understand it. Short-term, so like an example, they were talking about how everything is all about okay, we want to make just enough supplies so that we sell them all within 48 hours, and we have enough production to do just that continuously. But if there's, an epidemic that pops up, we have no way to increase the supply chain to an epidemic. So we can't. So if all of a sudden we need 300% more of sterile tubing or whatever. We're not set to do that. And where do we make a lot of that? In China. And someone made a point that was like, can you imagine the U.S. military outsourcing their munition production to China? Can you imagine that? But hey, if it's our medical supplies that keep the country healthy, or if it's the generic medication that we need, or if it's antivirals or anything of that nature, that's fine. Do it. Don't have backups. Don't have a stockpile. The private sector will take care of that. Look at that. We're about to have a recession because of that thinking.
Right.
Something about
So-
invisible hands.
Right. And the thing is, the country right now, the way it's set up, there are people who are working so many different jobs right now, and it's still not enough, and they still have to show up to work. This country is a perfect breeding ground for a disaster like the beerdemic. And we don't want to see that happen. No one wants to see that happen. But the very fact you have soulless politicians, both Republicans and Democrats, saying, well, maybe we might have to think about a free vaccination.
How do
we
we
have to
pay
think about
for it?
how do we take care of the people you are sworn to protect? You're not going to protect your people? How are you going to govern a country when everyone's dead or sick? Did you ever think about that? And the rest of the world, the whole world is looking at this country, the United States, the richest country in the world ever in the history of mankind. We have money for endless wars. We have money for tax breaks. We have money to bail out Wall Street. We have money to bail out the worst people in the world. But good people who are taking care of their friends, their families, their neighborhoods are left holding the bag, and yes, could possibly die from beerdemic. Because, hey, it's okay, because we got to make sure that Wall Street makes its profits. We got to be pragmatic. Yeah, we'd like to help the people. Someday, this country's going to be in a bad spot. And you know what? Maybe the government's going to start asking its people, can you help? And the people are going to look back at the government, at the Democrats and the Republicans that are in the United States Congress right now and say, no, because you're not helping us. All what these elected officials are doing, 90% of times, that means the Democratic senators and Republican senators, the U.S. congressmen, Democrats and Republicans, you know what they're doing 90% of the time? They're on the phone calling up their donors. That's all what they're doing. They're not coming up with legislation to protect you. They're not coming up with a quick plan to, I don't know, make a free vaccination for the most deadliest disease right now that is existing. I mean, this thing, if it's left unchecked, could severely cripple this country. And no one wants to talk about it. There's only one candidate that is right now. Actually, two candidates. Senator Bernie Sanders and Representative Tulsi Gabbard. As for good old sleepy, creepy Uncle Joe, well, some people might be protected under my Medicare for All plan. No, I don't have it. No, everyone's left holding the bag. That's what these guys are doing. They don't care. There's only two people in this race that actually give a damn. Not Trump, not Biden. It's Senator Bernie Sanders and Representative Tulsi Gabbard. And we need real leadership. The people do not deserve to be hurt by this damn disease.
I just want to make the point that because of the contagious factor of the beerdemic, it's very likely that both Biden and Sanders will get infected sometime in the next few months. Now, Sanders is a spry older man who can still run and seems to have a lot of good health, and he just got a stent which is giving him a lot of extra blood flow. And Biden is Cotton Eye Joe, and he can't speak well. He doesn't seem all that active. He doesn't seem all that there. This could literally be a real factor in the next couple months that affects the election. And it's crazy that we're at a point where I can even say that and everyone listening is like, yeah, that seems unlikely, but yeah, I get what he's saying.